Mark was not supposed to stay long on the station. He was a simple delivery worker. His job was boring but safe. Carry the box, get the signature, leave the place. This order felt strange from the start. The address was not human. The payment was too high for one small delivery. And the warning message said, "No delay, no questions." The station floated above a red planet. The sky below looked like burning clouds. Tall black buildings rose like sharp teeth. No noise, no crowds, only silence. Mark walked through the main gate. Alien figures moved slowly around him. They were tall and pale. Their eyes followed him but never blinked. He held the delivery box close to his chest. It was light, too light for a wedding order. He told himself not to think too much. Finish the job and leave. The hall doors opened by themselves. Soft music filled the air. It was slow and deep. It made his chest feel tight. The hall was huge. Black crystal walls reflected red light. Strange symbols glowed on the floor. Alien guests stood in long lines, watching. Mark took one step inside. The doors closed behind him. The sound echoed loudly. Too loudly. He turned around. The doors did not move. That was when he felt it. Every eye was on him. The music changed. It became stronger. The floor began to glow. And then she appeared. She walked from the shadows. Tall, graceful, dangerous. Her skin was pale like moonlight. Her eyes glowed deep red. She wore dark robes that moved like smoke. Her presence made the air feel cold. The guests bowed their heads. No one spoke. Mark forgot how to breathe. This was no normal alien. He had heard stories. Alien vampires were real. She stopped in front of him. Her eyes studied his face. Fear, confusion, weakness. She saw it all. Before he could speak, she reached out her hand. Her grip was cold and strong. Too strong. The music pulled him forward. His feet moved without his choice. The crowd stepped back. A wide circle formed. Mark tried to pull away. His body did not listen. The music controlled him. Every step matched the rhythm. They began to dance. Slow turns, careful steps. Her movements were perfect. His were forced. His heart pounded fast. Sweat ran down his face. This was wrong. Very wrong. As they danced, he noticed the guests watching closely. Some looked excited. Some looked hungry. The glowing symbols on the floor grew brighter. The music drilled into his head. His strength faded with every step. His breath became shallow. She leaned closer. Her voice was soft. Only he could hear her. "If you stop dancing, you will die." Mark felt ice in his veins. This was not a wedding dance. This was a ritual, and he was the offering. He wanted to scream. His mouth would not open. The music stole his voice. His fear fed the room. The alien woman's eyes flickered. Just for a moment, something like doubt passed through them, as if she noticed something strange. The music pushed harder. The cymbals pulsed faster. Life energy drained from his body. Or at least it tried to. Mark felt weak, but he did not collapse. His heart refused to slow. His body refused to give up. The guests began to whisper. This was not normal. Humans were supposed to break. Humans were supposed to fall. The alien woman tightened her grip. Her eyes searched his face again. Confusion replaced calm. This was not expected. As they spun across the glowing floor, Mark's vision blurred, but his feet still moved. His will still burned. Somewhere deep inside him, something pushed back. Not strength, not power, but stubborn human survival. The music faltered for half a breath. Just enough for the elders to notice. Just enough for danger to grow. And as the dance continued, Mark realized one thing clearly. He was never meant to deliver a package. He was brought here to die. Before the next part begins, if you enjoy slow burn sci-fi stories like this, you are gently invited to subscribe to this channel. More dangerous dances are waiting. The music rose again. The ritual was far from over, and the galaxy had just taken its first step toward something it did not understand. The dance did not slow down. The music grew heavier, like invisible hands pressing on Mark's chest. Every step pulled more energy from him. Or at least that was what the ritual was meant to do. But something felt wrong. Mark's legs shook. His vision blurred at the edges. Yet he stayed standing. The glowing symbols on the floor reacted strangely. Some faded too fast. Some burned brighter than before. The alien guests noticed. Their whispers grew louder. Sharp voices filled with surprise and anger. This should be finished by now. One elder hissed from the shadows. The alien vampire woman heard it. Her expression stayed calm. But her eyes were no longer relaxed. She had danced this ritual many times. She knew the pattern. She knew exactly when a victim collapsed. Humans were weak. Humans burned fast. That was what the galaxy believed. Yet this human was still moving, still breathing, still resisting without knowing how. Mark felt pain everywhere, like needles under his skin. But pain was not new to him. He had worked long hours on Earth. He had lived through hunger and cold. He had learned how to keep going. The music changed again. A deeper tone joined the melody. The hall trembled softly. This was the second phase. The phase meant to break the mind. Images filled Mark's head. Dark memories that were not his own. Screams, blood, ancient wars. Alien history poured into him. Violence and power. Fear meant to crush his will. He almost fell. His knees bent. The crowd leaned forward. But he remembered something simple. A small apartment on Earth. A quiet life. Nothing special. And somehow that memory held him. He took another step. Then another. The vampire woman felt it clearly now. This human was not empty. He was full of something dangerous. Not strength. Not magic. But endurance. Her fingers tightened around his hand. She whispered again. Her voice sharper this time. You were chosen for a reason. Mark could not answer. But his eyes met hers. Fear mixed with anger. The elders moved closer. Their long robes brushed the floor. Their eyes glowed with hunger. Why is he still alive? One of them demanded. This ritual feeds on fear. Another said, and he has plenty. The vampire woman said nothing. She was thinking fast now. This was no accident. She realized the truth slowly. This delivery was never random. The system flagged him. A human with unusual mental resistance. A species still unknown in many ways. Perfect for experimentation. They did not just want him dead. They wanted to test him. To see how humans truly break. The music grew violent. The floor cymbals twisted. Red light shot up like flames. Mark screamed inside his mind. His body still moved. Still danced. Pain became heat. Heat became pressure. Pressure became anger. The elders smiled now. This was the moment they waited for. But then something shifted. The energy did not flow outward. Pushed inward. The ritual tried to drain him. But his body resisted. Like a wall instead of a door. The vampire woman felt it clearly. Energy bounced back into the system. Unstable, wild. Cracks formed in the glowing symbols. Small at first. Then spreading fast. The music stuttered. Just a fraction of a second. But enough to cause panic. This is dangerous. One elder shouted. Stop the dance. Another ordered. The woman hesitated. Stopping now would kill him instantly. And possibly destroy the hall. She leaned close again. Her lips near his ear. Listen carefully. She whispered. Do not stop. No matter what happens. Mark did not understand why, but he trusted her voice. More than the watching monsters. Guards moved into position, weapons glowing, ready to strike. The elders raised their hands. Dark energy gathered above them, heavy and cruel. End this, they commanded. The vampire woman finally spoke. Her voice calm but cold. You wanted to see what humans are, she said. Now you are seeing it. The energy surged. The hall shook violently. Guests stumbled backward. and Mark realized the truth at last. This was not a wedding. This was a trap, not just for him, but for everyone in the room, and the dance was only beginning. The hall slowly changed as the lights dimmed and the music softened into a deep alien hum. The alien guests leaned closer to the dance floor, as if they could feel something hidden waking up. The human man stood beside the alien vampire woman, and his calm face did not match the fear in the room. She felt it first as her ancient senses touched his presence and found something impossible. Her kind had hunted humans for centuries across many worlds. They knew human fear and human blood and human weakness. But this man did not feel weak at all. He felt deep and heavy like a sleeping star. She pulled him closer in the dance not for love but for safety. The elders noticed this small movement and their red eyes narrowed. They had set a trap in the previous moments hoping the human would panic. Instead he breathed slowly and his heartbeat stayed steady. The music grew louder and the floor lights began to pulse. This was an old ritual used to reveal lies and hidden power. Most species failed under its pressure and showed their true nature. The alien vampire woman whispered that he should prepare himself. He did not ask questions and did not fight. Inside his mind memories stirred of Earth and long-buried stories. Stories humans forgot because they feared themselves. Stories of survival beyond reason and strength born from loss. As the ritual energy washed over the crowd, some guests screamed softly. Others dropped to their knees as their masks shattered. The human man stayed standing and his shadow grew darker and wider. It stretched across the floor like a living thing. The elders rose from their seats as shock broke their cold faces. They felt it now and understood the mistake they had made. Humans were never weak prey. Humans were sealed weapons. Long ago humans had learned how dangerous they could become. They buried parts of their nature behind culture and kindness. They turned rage into rules and fear into stories. They chose to forget on purpose. The alien vampire woman felt his pulse change as the ritual pushed deeper. Not faster but stronger like a drum of war. She saw flashes in his eyes, not red but burning gold. A color her species feared from old forgotten wars. She remembered forbidden history told only to queens. A time when humans crossed stars without mercy. A time when vampire empires burned under human fleets. A time when humans sealed themselves away to save the galaxy. The man whispered that he was sorry as if he understood everything now. The apology was not for himself but for what might come next. The ritual cracked the floor beneath his feet. Energy surged not outward but inward into him. The elders shouted commands but their voices trembled. They tried to stop the ritual but it was too late. The human secret was awake and watching them. Not angry yet but alert. The alien vampire woman released his hand and stepped back in awe. She knew he could destroy the hall if he wished. But he did not move to attack. He simply looked around and saw fear in every face. That fear hurt him more than chains ever could. He had come to leave an order and ended up in a nightmare. Yet even now he chose restraint. That choice was the true secret of humanity. The ritual ended with a deep silence. No one dared to breathe for several long seconds. The human man bowed his head slightly, a gesture of peace older than any empire. The elders realized the truth too late. Humans were not controlled by strength but by choice. And a human who stopped choosing peace was unstoppable. This was the secret that had kept the galaxy alive. As the music died and the lights returned, the hall felt smaller. The alien vampire woman stepped forward again, this time not as a hunter or host, but as someone standing beside a storm. She asked him quietly what he would do next. He answered that he still wanted to leave his order and go home. The simplicity of that wish shook the elders more than power, because it meant the storm was still sleeping. But everyone knew now that sleep could end. And when it did, the galaxy would remember why humans were feared. The trap had failed and revealed the greatest secret of all. Humanity was gentle only because it chose to be. The silence in the hall felt heavier than the music before. No one moved. No one spoke. The elders stared at the human as if looking at a living disaster. They had planned control. They had found uncertainty. The alien vampire woman was the first to act. She stepped closer to the human again. But this time her posture was different. She was no longer leading the dance. She was standing beside him. The elders noticed it immediately. Their whispers turned sharp. Dangerous. You will step away. One elder commanded her. She did not obey. Her eyes stayed on the human. She spoke calmly. He is no longer part of the ritual, she said. He is my responsibility now. Gasps echoed through the hall. That sentence carried weight. Old laws, old blood. The elders rose from their seats. Dark energy gathered around their hands. The guards tightened their formation. You forget your place. Another elder said. You forget why you exist. She felt anger rise in her chest. Not sudden, not wild, but sharp and clear. For centuries she had obeyed, danced, killed, smiled. She turned slightly toward the human. Her voice dropped low. Do exactly what I say. Before he could respond, she stepped forward and slammed her foot into the glowing floor. The cymbals shattered like glass. Light exploded across the hall. The elders screamed in rage. The ritual space collapsed. Panic spread through the guests. The vampire woman grabbed the human's hand. Not like before. Not controlling, but guiding. Run, she said. They moved together through the chaos. Guards fired energy bolts. Crystals shattered around them. The human stumbled. Still weak, still confused. She pulled him up without slowing. Her strength unreal. Her focus absolute. They reached a side corridor. Dark and narrow. Emergency lights flashing red. Alarms screamed now. The station was locking down. Every exit sealing. Why are you helping me? The human asked breathlessly. Because I am done being used. She answered. And because you should not have been chosen. They turned sharply as guards closed in. The human saw no weapons in his hands. Only broken tools and debris. He acted without thinking. He kicked a loose power conduit toward the guards. She understood instantly and struck it with her claws. The explosion threw the guard's back. Smoke filled the corridor. Screams echoed. She looked at him with surprise. Then something like respect. Humans adapt fast, she said. They kept moving. Through service tunnels and maintenance shafts. Places the elders forgot existed. The human's lungs burned. His body screamed to stop. But he did not slow. She noticed it again. That endurance. That refusal to quit. They reached a small hangar bay. An old escape ship sat powered down. Dust covered its hull. This will barely fly, she said. It just needs to fly once. He replied. Behind them the station shook. Heavy steps echoed closer. The elders were coming. She hesitated for half a second. Then made a choice that would change everything. She stepped between the human and the door, faced the approaching shadows, and raised her hands. I reject the covenant, she declared. I choose exile. The words triggered ancient systems. Warning lights flashed violently. The station itself responded. The human stared at her, realizing the cost of her decision. You did not have to, he said. Yes, she answered quietly. I did. They boarded the ship together. Controls flickered to life. The engines screamed in protest. As the hangar doors began to close, energy beams struck the ship's shields. The hull shook hard. The vampire woman took the pilot's seat. Her hands steady, her face calm. The human strapped in beside her. Watching the station fall away beneath them, they burst into open space. Stars stretched into long lines. The escape jump engaged. Behind them the elders watched their prey escape. Anger burning hotter than fear. The alliance had been formed, not by trust, but by survival. And as the ship vanished into the dark, both of them understood one truth clearly. The galaxy would never forgive this choice. The escape ship drifted through silent space. Its engines whispered instead of roared, as if even the machine feared being heard. Inside the cockpit, the human sat still, his hands shaking now that the danger slowed. Pain returned to his body in heavy waves. The alien vampire woman watched him carefully. She had seen warriors cry and monsters laugh. But humans confused her more than any species. "You should be dead," she said softly. He laughed weakly. "Not proud. Not brave. Just tired. People say that a lot," he answered. She tilted her head, studying his face. No armor, no claws, no glowing power. And yet the elders feared him now. She activated a medical scanner. The screen flickered with warnings. Human biology unknown. Stress tolerance abnormal. "This is impossible," she whispered. The ship jumped into a quiet star system. Empty, cold, safe for now. She powered down the engines. Silence filled the cabin again. A different silence. Less threatening. Still heavy. She finally asked the question, "What are humans?" The human closed his eyes, searching for simple words. "We survive," he said. "That's it." She waited for more, but he stayed quiet. On distant worlds, messages spread fast. The failed ritual was no secret. Surveillance drones recorded everything. Elders argued across crystal halls. Fear poisoned their calm voices. They replayed the moment again and again. A human who did not break. A ritual that pushed back. A vampire noble who chose exile. Old records were unlocked. Files sealed for thousands of cycles. Stories once called myths. The truth returned like a ghost. Long ago, humans reached the stars early. Too early. Without guidance. Without restraint. They fought wars that burned systems. Not because they were evil, but because they refused to lose. Other species united to stop them. Not with force, but with fear. They showed humans the damage they caused. The lives lost. The worlds broken. Humans looked at the ruins and felt shame. A deep, heavy shame. And they chose something no empire expected. They stopped. They erased their own history. Locked away their war machines. Turned inward. They became traders. Workers. Delivery men. The galaxy relaxed. Forgot. Moved on. Until now. Back on the escape ship, the vampire woman studied the human again. "You hide it," she said. "We bury it," he replied. She thought of the ritual energy bouncing back, of the golden fire in his eyes, of the elders trembling. "Your kind is dangerous," she said. "Yes," he answered. When pushed, the ship sensors picked up a signal. Long range, encrypted. She froze. "That is a council frequency." The message broke through, cold and official. "Attention all systems. Human presence confirmed as unstable survival species. Threat level reassessed." More messages followed. Fleet mobilization, border alerts, emergency councils. The galaxy was waking up, and it was afraid. The vampire woman clenched her fists. "This is my fault." The human shook his head. "No," he said. "This was always coming." She looked at him sharply. "You knew." He nodded slowly. "Some of us remembered." Outside the viewport, distant stars flickered, like nervous eyes watching. The message continued. Humans demonstrate adaptive resistance beyond prediction. Containment protocols recommended. She turned away from the console, anger burning in her chest. "They will hunt you," she said. "They already did," he replied calmly. She realized then what truly frightened the elders. Not human power, but human patience. Humans waited, learned, endured, and when pushed too far, they did not explode. They focused. The vampire woman made a decision, a dangerous one. "Where is your world?" she asked. He hesitated, then answered, "Far and quiet." She smiled slightly, a sharp, sad smile. "Then we go there," she said. The ship turned slowly toward a new path. Unknown space ahead. Fear spreading behind. The truth was out now. Humans were not weak. They were restrained. And the galaxy had just tested that restraint. The ship moved through deep space. Stars passed like quiet witnesses, but peace did not follow them. Across the galaxy, alarms echoed. Councils gathered in fear. Old enemies sat side by side. One question filled every chamber. How dangerous are humans? The recording of the dance spread fast. A human standing in a killing ritual, not screaming, not begging, but enduring. Experts watched it again and again. They slowed it down. They measured heart rate and movement. The data scared them. The ritual was designed to drain life, to feed on fear and collapse the mind. Yet the human adapted in real time. He should have died in 40 seconds. One scientist said. He lasted minutes. Another whispered. And the ritual destabilized. That final detail changed everything. If one human could break an ancient system, what could many do together? Fleet commanders received new orders. Borders closed. Weapons armed. Not for attack, but for defense. The phrase spread quietly. Do not provoke humans. Too late. The escape ship finally slowed near a dead moon. A place with no signals and no traffic. The vampire woman shut down the engines. We are being tracked, she said calmly. The human felt it too. A pressure in the air. A familiar feeling from the ritual. They are watching, he said. A holographic message burst to life in front of them. The Elder Council appeared, their faces sharp with anger and fear. You have committed treason. One elder spoke. The vampire woman stood tall. I have committed choice. You brought a weapon into sacred space. Another elder said. The human frowned. I am not a weapon. The elders ignored him, their eyes never leaving the vampire woman. You will return, they ordered, and the human will be surrendered. Silence filled the cockpit. No, she answered. The council chamber erupted. Threats filled the channel. Sanctions, destruction, extermination. The human stepped forward, his voice calm, but steady. This started as a dance, he said. You chose the music. The elders froze. You wanted to see what humans are. He continued. You pulled one of us into a trap. He looked directly into the projection. And now you are afraid of the answer. The channel cut abruptly. Moments later, sensors screamed. Multiple warp signatures detected. A fleet was arriving. The vampire woman gripped the controls. They will not talk now. The human nodded. They never do. Elsewhere in the galaxy, something unexpected happened. Human signals activated. Old satellites woke from long sleep. Quiet messages passed between worlds. Simple words. Short codes. We have been seen. On Earth, leaders watched the recording in silence. Not anger, not fear, but understanding. So it begins. One of them said quietly. Human ships did not launch in rage. They did not rush borders. They waited. That waiting frightened the galaxy more than fleets. Near the dead moon, the alien fleet emerged. Massive ships blocking the stars. Weapons glowing with charged energy. The vampire woman positioned the small ship between them. A shield that would not hold long. This is where it ends, she said. The human shook his head. No. This is where they decide. A human fleet arrived moments later. Not large, not aggressive, but precise. They formed a silent line. No weapons fired, no threats sent. The two forces faced each other across empty space. The dance floor had grown into a battlefield. A final message echoed through all channels. Cold and demanding. Surrender the human, or Earth will burn. The vampire woman looked at him, her red eyes searching his face. You can still leave, she said. He smiled softly, the same tired human smile. They already chose, he replied. Human ships powered up in unison, not attacking, but refusing to move. Across the galaxy, every species watched, holding their breath, because they understood now. This war did not start with weapons. It started with a dance. And once humans were forced to stand together, they never stepped back. Space was silent, too silent. Human ships held their line. Alien fleets waited with weapons ready. One wrong move could burn worlds. The vampire woman stood beside the human, her choice already made. No fear in her eyes now. The council message repeated across all channels. Surrender the human, or Earth will burn. The human took a slow breath. He looked at the stars, at the ships, at the woman who had given up everything. This is not how it ends, he said quietly. He stepped forward into the open channel. No armor, no threat, just a human voice. You call us unstable, he began. You call us dangerous. We are, he continued, but not how you think. The elders listened in silence. So did the galaxy. Humans feel pain deeply, he said. We lose deeply. We remember deeply. That is why we stop ourselves. Because we know what happens if we do not. Images appeared across the channel. Human history unlocked by human hands. Wars, burned planets, silent space graves. We chose peace, he said. Not because we are weak, but because we are strong enough to choose it. The elders shifted uncomfortably. You tried to turn us into prey, he said. You pulled one of us into a ritual meant to kill. And still, we did not strike first. The vampire woman felt her chest tighten. She understood now why humans scared the galaxy. They could destroy, but they waited. The human's voice hardened slightly, not angry, but firm. You threaten Earth, he said. That is where choice ends. Human fleets powered up together, not firing, just standing ready. This is your last chance, he said. Step back. Silence stretched across the stars. The elders argued privately. Fear fought pride. History fought hunger. They saw the truth clearly now. Humans were not weapons. They were limits. And the galaxy had reached one. The council channel opened again. Their leader spoke with effort. The ritual was a mistake, he said. The human will be released. A collective breath was released across countless worlds. The human nodded slowly. Good. The alien fleets began to withdraw. One by one, weapons dimming. War faded without a single shot. The vampire woman closed her eyes, relief washing over her. Exile no longer mattered. Later, far from councils and fleets, the human and the vampire woman stood on a quiet world. Soft wind, dark sky. What happens now? She asked. He smiled. A simple human smile. Now we live, he said. Humans returned to being traders, workers, delivery men. But the galaxy remembered. Stories spread quietly. Of a dance that should have killed. Of a human who endured. Of a woman who chose freedom. Children of many species learned a new lesson. Do not mistake kindness for weakness. Do not test patience without reason. Because humans do not seek war. But once pushed together, they do not break. The vampire woman watched a human ship lift into the stars. She felt something new. Hope. The human looked back once. At the vast galaxy ahead. He had only meant to deliver a wedding order. Instead, he delivered a warning. And far across the stars, empires adjusted their plans. Rituals were rewritten. Fear was replaced with respect. Because the galaxy learned the truth at last. Humans are not the strongest. They are not the fastest. But when forced to stand, when pushed beyond choice, they endure, they unite, and they never step back. It was only a dance. But the galaxy never danced the same way again.